Well, 1 in 4 teens are doing it. We're talking about sexting, and experts warn that numbers are only going to rise in the coming years. But as more teens are sending explicit messages, does this mean they're more likely to have sex? Well, apparently not.
New figures show the age at which teens are first having sex is actually going up as more are choosing to wait. So, should we be trying to stop our kids from sexting, or is it simply a form of modern-day courtship? For more, we're joined in the studio by sexologist and relationship expert Dr. Nikki Goldstein. Good morning to you, Nikki. And live in Melbourne, child and adolescent psychologist Dr. Michael Cargregg. Good morning to you, Michael. Welcome to you both. Nikki, first up, what exactly is sexting?
Well, I think one of the problems is that we don't have a definition, because this is relatively quite new. And I think we need to start broadening it, not just looking at photos, but looking at words, content that's being shared from the internet, YouTube videos, and even photos that might be sexually suggestive. And I think more than looking at a definition, we need to look at the motive. Why are teens doing this? Is it a modern day form of courtship? Are they sexually curious? Or sometimes it's a matter of being a game, and it's not always about sex. It's about seeing how far they can take it and how far they can get someone else to go.
All right, that's how Nikki sees it. Michael, why do you think that 25% of 10 to 15-year-olds are doing this? Why?
Well, over a third of them, of course, have access to a mobile phone, which is a real first. Secondly, they're expressing their sexuality, as Nikki is explaining, but also it's to be liked. I think there's a degree of wanting to impress other people. So from my point of view, it's totally understandable, knowing adolescents as I do.
Nikki, if teens are sexting so much, there must be a fine line then between where that starts, where it's going, and actually getting to a point where they're having sex, no?
Well, this is the interesting thing, because not necessarily. So new research has come out and said that with this increase in sexting, the age at which teens are first having sex is also increasing. So parents need to not freak out and think that just because they're sexting, it means that they're going out and having sex. And we do know that because of adequate sex education, that also increases the age. So maybe because of sexting, we're starting to have those conversations, we're having them in the classroom, we're having them at home, and we're educating teens about sex. So I'm not saying it's a positive thing, but I think we do need to look at the flow-on effect. So parents need to not freak out. We need to get real about sexting and work with it instead of just saying, it's wrong, don't do it, it's illegal.
Okay, so what are the risks of sexting, Michael?
Well, the first one is a reputational damage, which can be significant. Then there are the legal problems, this little thing called Section 47420 of the Commonwealth Criminal Code 1995, which can actually carry 15 years imprisonment. And of course, there's an impossibility about getting the images back once they've gone out.
I think that's the thing people don't understand. Once they put them at such a young age, once those things are out there floating around, they're not coming back. Michael, at such a young age, do you think kids can process the repercussions of sending nude photos? All of the bad stuff?
The one thing we know about 10 to 15-year-olds is their frontal cortexes aren't fully developed, and a unique characteristic of this age group is an inability to predict the consequences of their actions. So I think you've got the perfect storm. You've got an immature brain and a technology which is in the moment and of the moment.
Okay, so hearing that, Nikki, what are your thoughts about kids and sexting, given that?
Well, I'm not encouraging it, but I don't think it's necessarily that evil that parents think it is, and it doesn't always necessarily lead to sex. I think what we need to be careful of is the messages that we are presenting to teens about sex. When we say that it's illegal, we are sending that message and we're saying it's wrong. You know, this is a form of their sexual expression these days.
Yeah, but sex is one thing, sexting using a mobile phone is another. No one's saying that sex is wrong.
No, but this is a form of modern sexual expression. So when you're saying that this is wrong, it's illegal, you shouldn't do it, we are sending negative messages about sexuality. So this is where it's that balancing act where we need to be very cautious, because of course we need to protect them from having photos out there that might come back to haunt them and be embarrassing. But we need to be careful that we're not telling them that sexual expression is wrong, because keeping in mind, some of the people that are doing this are of legal age. So we want to encourage them to express themselves sexually in a safe manner. We can't escape the fact that they have a mobile phone right next to them in their hand.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's the point. Michael, so many kids, 14, 15, 16, 17, all have mobile phones. What do we do? How do we as parents fix this?
Well, as parents, I think the first thing you'd do is you'd go to the CyberSmart website put together by the Australian Communication and Media Authority. They've got a wonderful pamphlet called So You Got Naked Online. So that's the first thing. The second thing is have a conversation with your kids. Explain to them the law, because what Nikki says is right. The difficulty is that the law doesn't care. And there are kids who've been put on the sex offenders register as a result of engaging in this behaviour. That is not a good outcome.
Yeah, and school principals as well, Michael, and other parents?
All should be involved. This is a community-wide issue.
Okay.
All right. Guys, we're out of time. Thank you very much for that today. Good to talk to you both.
Thank you. Well, ahead for you on the morning show, the running of the bulls returns. See the festival in action as animal rights protesters take to the streets.